everyone, welcome back to the Common Sense podcast by Ezyecons. Today, we're diving into one of the oldest and loudest economic myths out there. Immigrants take our jobs and lower our wages. You've heard this a million times, from politicians, social media, or maybe even that relative at dinner who says they're stealing our jobs. But what if I told you that economics says the exact opposite? Let's unpack the myth, the logic behind it, and the real economics that tell a much richer story. So let's start with the myth itself. Immigrants take jobs that locals could have had. At first glance, it makes perfect sense, right? The logic goes like this. There are a fixed number of jobs in the economy. If more people come in, that means more competition and fewer opportunities for locals. Basic supply and demand. More workers, lower wages. It's a neat, simple story. But like most neat, simple stories in economics, it's wrong. The problem lies in the assumption that the number of jobs is fixed. Like there's one giant pie and more people means thinner slices for everyone else. Economists actually call this the lump of labor fallacy. In reality, the economy isn't a fixed pie. It grows, it changes, it innovates. And immigrants don't just fill jobs, they create them. Here's what the research says, and it's pretty striking. Over decades of studies, economists have consistently found that immigration has little to no negative effect on local employment or wages. In some cases, it actually raises them. Let's look at a famous example. In 1980, around 125,000 Cuban refugees arrived in Miami in what's now known as the Mario boat lift. You think, overnight, thousands of new workers flood the market, especially in low-skilled jobs. Local wages should fall, right? Economist David Card, who later won the Nobel Prize, decided to test that. He compared Miami's labor market with other similar US cities. And guess what? Wages and employment for locals stayed almost exactly the same. No massive job losses, no wage collapse. So what happened? Immigrants increased the supply of labor, yes, but they also increased demand. They rented apartments, bought food, used public transport, started businesses, and in many cases hired other people. The economy expanded to absorb them. And it's not just Miami. Across the OECD and Singapore as well, studies show similar patterns. When immigrants enter, they often fill gaps locals don't want or can't fill. Think of elder care, construction, cleaning, delivery, or tech, areas where demand keeps rising. By doing these jobs, immigrants free up locals to move into higher productivity roles, managerial, analytical, creative positions. In short, immigration reshuffles the economy upward. Take Singapore for example. Our foreign workforce is essential in construction, healthcare, and services. If migrant workers disappear overnight, projects would stall, costs would skyrocket, and businesses would struggle to operate. But the bigger story is this. By taking on roles that are physically demanding or lower paid, migrant workers allow locals to focus on higher value work in management, data, finance, and innovation. In economics, this is called complementarity. Immigrants don't compete with locals, they complement them. Even in tech-driven economies like the US, research shows that skilled immigrants, especially in STEM, spur innovation. They file patents, start companies, and help industries grow, which again creates more jobs for everyone. If you have used Google, you have benefited from immigration because one of its founders, Sergey Brin, was a refugee. If you use Zoom, thank Eric Yuan, who came to the US from China. Immigration doesn't shrink the economy, it supercharges it. So here's what to actually take away. Immigration doesn't steal jobs. It reshapes the labor market. It fills gaps, boosts demand, and makes the economy more dynamic. Yes, there can be short-term adjustments. Some sectors or regions may feel pressure if change happens too fast. That's where good policy matters, retraining, support for low-wage workers, and ensuring fair labor standards. But the big picture? Immigrants are not the problem. They are part of the solution. They make economies more innovative, more productive, and yes, more human. So the next time you hear someone say they are taking our jobs, you can say, actually, they are helping create them. Thanks for tuning in to the Common Sense podcast by Ezyecons. If you've learned something new today, hit follow and share this episode with someone. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep thinking like an economist.